Okay folks, this is Vince here at Manhattan Reptile World, and I'm going to do a little talk about planting into biotic systems. Now I'm about to pop these two Latania into my 125 gallon biotic tank, and part of the reason that I'm doing that is because I developed that tank for mostly understanding and seeing how far or what kind of luck I can have with my population of cross-pollinating cockroaches, my isopods, my ants, living together in a unique environment. So my goal was not necessarily what type of plant, annual, perennial, tropical, subtropical, but to get a standard kind of set of flowering plants that I can get into that type of space, give them a decent distance apart, and then kind of see how well they do, and if it helps them to cross-pollinate and to help one another. So also I'm going to give some tips that I've had dealing with converting plants like these that are straight from a garden center or a potting place, because we can't always just be ordering custom terrarium plants. And so one thing that I'm doing is I'm breaking down the root balls, and then I'm lightly misting these off. I'm going to pump up and get a little more power on here to kind of take off or break up any of the pesticides that they put into them, because obviously we want animals to be attracted to them. We want to see if we can get the cockroaches in there cross-pollinating some of these, and the ants cross-pollinating some of these. And then of course I'm giving them a little bit of water at the root level, at the root ball, breaking up, getting rid of some of this perlite. I don't really have too much of a problem with perlite in there, but I do have problem obviously with any of the anti-weed products or anti-insect products that they've put on them temporarily to sell them. So I'm breaking that all down as much as I can, and then I'm going to roughly try to space them as much apart in the tank as I can to see how they do over time. So this is going to be like the first time since about November that I've cracked that tank to actually put stuff in there or take stuff out. Yesterday I took a little bit out. I took some killer giant Brahms out that have overgrown in there, and I'm going to put these in to the soil-based area and see how they do over the long term. So wish me luck. Okay folks, so we wanted to make sure that we had space of where we're set up, how we're going to do this, how we're going to feed the tank today. Now what I normally do is I normally keep this tank sealed months at a time, trying to keep as many vertebrates as I can isolated and dependent on the recurring detritivores and the variety of detritivores, all the way up to dubia roaches being the largest. Well, actually, the largest invertebrate is actually a pesky vampire crab that still hides out in here from time to time. But we're not going to count him, hopefully, too much. He might break down some of the food that we're going to put in there today. But hopefully we won't have to worry about him too much messing with our stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to insert some of these Latania in here and see how our bugs like crossing with them and crossing them. Wish us luck. Alright, so now this is the second and larger rat. The reason I use rats is I have a rat factory, I have a rattery, and a lot of times they'll just die on their own of natural causes. And so what it also allows me to do is really dig in, check the rate of decomposition that would naturally occur in an environment. And so I'm simulating a natural death here to a certain extent, and then but unfortunately it does dump a lot of nitrates in all at once in one area, but it gives me a good excuse to place stuff in a way that I can kind of get to brass tacks. And now what I'm doing is I'm knocking out these root balls as much as I can from this commercial soil, and really kind of offering up these to the light to compete against, frankly, people that are already in there, and see where we're at. Now, because I'm putting fresh competitors in there, these Latania, and I have them separated by about a foot, not quite. Hopefully that'll give us a check to see how stuff breaks down and what pollen goes to what stamen. But also, with this type of scenario, what I'm going to do is I'm going to seal it again completely, not even allowing Musca domestica in there. Even though they do a really good job at breaking it down, I do want my own environment to break it down and not any of those nasty houseflies. So let's see how it goes.